all set? TV?
Go.
Okay. I'd like to call the meeting to order for regular city council meeting for May 22nd. My name is John Flynn. I'm Mayor Pro Temp, and I'm substituting for Mayor Peter Christie, who is involved in events with the professional golf tournament this weekend. We'd like to start with the invocation by Pastor Albert Fisher of United Methodist Church.
Shall we pray? Eternal Father, we come to Thee to give You our gratitude and gratefulness for being a people that have been blessed with the privilege of living in Bella Vista. Each morning we rise to its beauty and we celebrate Your greatness in creation as we observe all that which the community offers and the surrounding beauty of each element that we see. We ask Your blessing to be upon this gathering today, and especially upon the leadership of our community, that You will provide them with the wisdom that is necessary to make the decisions and the choices for the betterment of our community. We ask that You will also bless this community as it celebrates the coming weekend of Memorial Day, and as we honor those who gave so much into their country, some who paid the ultimate sacrifice. May they who live in our community realize that today and every day we honor those who serve so well, and we salute those who gave their life in commitment and in courage. So through this night, may Your love and grace be upon this meeting and touch those again who have to make the tough decisions in their leadership capacities as the aldermen of Bella Vista. And with Your grace, may this meeting be a blessing. In Jesus' name, amen.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Yes, we'll call the roll of council. Alderman Barr.
Here.
Alderman Lloyd.
Here.
Alderman Flynn.
Here.
Alderman Anderson.
Here.
Alderman Wozniak.
Here.
Alderman Fowler.
Here.
All present.
Mayor Christie's absent.
Oh, yeah.
Make sure the minutes reflect that Mayor
Right.
Christie's absent.
Yep.
Okay, it's time now for citizen input. When you come up to speak, I'd appreciate it if you'd come up to the microphone here on my left so that it can be heard, particularly on television. And please state your name and address when you come up to speak, and each speaker has 3 minutes. The first name on our list is Jim Wagner.
Good evening, Acting Mayor and Alder members. My name is Jim Wagner. I live at 5 Musselburgh Lane, Bella Vista, on Loch Lomond. I'm speaking to you regarding our email that we've sent to everybody here concerning a noise violation in our neighborhood. To briefly recap, we have a neighbor that has installed an approximately 100-foot long waterfall that runs 22 hours a day. We have not received any cooperation after speaking directly to him and asking that it not run all night. We are requesting the city's assistance in enforcing our noise ordinance 20-5, section B1, which states no person shall create any unreasonably loud, disturbing, and unnecessary noises within the city. And section B2, no person shall create noise of such character, intensity, or duration as to be detrimental to the life or health of any individual or in the disturbance of the public peace and welfare. We have been directed by the police department to handle this as a civil matter, which we feel is in direct opposition to the ordinance and also creates a liability issue for the city in directing its citizens to enforce city laws. We are requesting assistance in the form of a letter from the city to the homeowner directing that the waterfall be operated on a timer to run not before 7 a.m. and not after 8 p.m., which applies to other sources of noise generation per the city ordinance. Thank you for this opportunity to speak, and my special thanks to Doug Fowler, and who made the time to come to our home to actually see what was going on in person, and to Linda Lloyd for responding to our email and inviting us here. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker is David Neal.
Good evening. My name is David Neal. I live at 6 Melanie Circle here in Bella Vista, and I also own Mojo Cycling, a bike shop that services many of the people who ride the back 40 trails here in Bella Vista. I am here tonight in support of the rezoning of the area that is near the Mormon Church here in Bella Vista, in preparation for the possible building of cabins that would serve hikers and bikers in the area. Some of the reasons why I support this are that the cabins will bring in hikers and bikers and numerous other outdoor enthusiasts who will in turn tell their friends, and who will also come. And the hope is also that they would be spending their money and their funds here in the city. This move will help to monetize the trail infrastructure which we have. Currently, as a shop owner, I see people coming to my shop all the time who are coming and riding the back 40 trails, but they are going to Bentonville to spend their money and to stay. I believe that the building of these cabins will set a trend and set a precedent that will help to begin a monetization of these trails, which will hopefully be a circular growth that can benefit everyone in the city and people who come to this area. Currently, cyclists and hikers come to the back 40 and then go to spend their money for food and other sources not here, and this is revenue that we as a town are losing. The building of these cabins that are proposed will be a strategic move to help to get funds from these people, which will in turn help the city. In the last 2 weeks at my shop, Fridays are normally the slowest, have traditionally been the slowest day of the shop because local people go out with their family and friends. In the last few months, Friday has now become the busiest day of my work week. In the last 2 weeks, I have had visitors to my shop, all of whom have ridden the back 40 trails from France, England, Arizona, California, Iowa, Michigan, Minnesota, Florida, Massachusetts, New York, Texas, Louisiana, and Missouri. And these are just people who have talked to me personally. Nearly all of them are looking for lodging near the trails that makes them easily accessible. And I have had numerous people talk about the possibility of buying a home in Bella Vista where they can have a summer home, bring their family, go out and ride the trails from a house that is directly close to the trails. This is something that we need to plan on. It can be the future for growth in Bella Vista as people my age who are in their 50s and 60s are looking for a place to retire and are not interested in golf. I'm not saying that this supplant the idea of golf, but the two ideas and the two sports are not mutually exclusive. Home sales will be generated on top of money that can be spent in stores, restaurants, and other facilities in the town. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Amelia Cowan.
Good evening, council members. My name is Amelia Cowan. I live on 14 Basildon Circle here in Bella Vista. I moved here, I bought my house in September, and when I moved here, I had the opportunity to buy, pretty much anywhere within a 20-mile radius. Bentonville's a lot closer to jobs. Rogers is a lot cost affordable, but I came here specifically for the community that is here. the opportunity for growth here in other industries other than what is already here to a certain demographic, the individuals that are coming in to buy the homes, I'm average. I make a decent wage, middle-aged-ish. I just want to come, want to be part of my community. I want to go out and have fun, but I also want to do it responsibly. I've run a lot of women's mountain bike groups, and they're all about my age, if not older. We're not a rowdy crowd. In fact, we go out all day, ride hard, and we just want to go home and go to bed. But the idea behind that is that it's something that we can build on, and it's something that can bring revenue into us, not just for visitors coming in, like Dave said, but for people who want to live here. I want to spend my money here. I want to go out after I ride and go to a restaurant, knowing that my taxes are going to fund more things to my community, and I can't do that on my own. We can't do that without bringing something else here and those individuals here. I just wanted to let you know that I'm the average, and I came here for mountain biking. So thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Andy Wiseman.
Hi, my name is Andy Wiseman. I live at 10 Warwick Circle here in Bella Vista. And I'm also for the cabins and anything that we can do in the area to improve the mountain biking community. I don't think this thing is really working. Is it?
It never does.
Okay. I was at an event out of state this weekend in down in the Ouachitas in Oklahoma, down across the border from Mena, and there were bikers there from 17 different states. And as you do, you talk, where are you from, and you ask, what do you do, where do you, people asked where I was from, and I said, Bella Vista. And everybody knows Bella Vista and wants to come right here. It's pretty interesting. I mean, people knew immediately. Many of them associated the trails more so with Bentonville, however, which I found interesting. But I think we'd find a group that would have a great place to stay if there were cabins here. There are people, like Dave mentioned, he's got them in the shop. I spend about 8 hours on the trails myself every week riding, and I've seen people from all over the country. And they're coming in droves, and they're going to Bentonville to stay. So it'd be great if we could provide a local opportunity for them to stay. Anything we can do to enhance, I think, access is going to benefit the community. And the last thing I'll say is we're grateful for the trails and all of the support that you guys have given. I own a business that we do business all over the world. We're in 70 countries, and I could live in any part of the country and operate my business, even in the Northwest where I grew up. But we choose to stay here in large part because of the quality of life, and a lot of that is derived from the trail system. So thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Jim Parsons.
I'm Jim Parsons, and I'm chairman of the Bella Vista Patriots. I live on Lake Avalon, and we also have a ad hoc committee called Bella Vista Kids Come First. And I would like to echo what Mr. Neal said and Mr. Anderson before me, because we're no longer a totally retirement community with people over 80 years old or 70 years old. We've got young people that would like to come here. And when they look at our schools, why, we've got about 700 students over Cooper Elementary, and that's K through 4. But we've got another 700 that are getting on buses at 6:15 in the morning or so, and they're having to spend their education day traveling. And Bentonville right now has agreed and voted to build 4 schools, all 4 of them not in Bella Vista. One of them is kind of close to here, but that's not good enough. We need to have a school right here in the heart for these little children, some who could walk or ride their bicycle to school even. But we don't need a full-blown school. Cooper Elementary already has the administration offices, already has an auditorium, a pretty good parking lot. But right now, with POA wanting to discontinue golf at Burksdale, there is land just east of Bella Vista Way, close to Allen's, close to Cooper Elementary, that we could build enough classrooms. I say we, Bentonville's got our money, and been getting it for 50 years, and they could build us enough classrooms there to house these other 700 children and keep our little children here at home and not have them on buses. It must be a pretty traumatic thing for mothers to, the first time their child to leave and get on a bus and go all the way to Bentonville, and if they get a cold or run a fever, that's quite a ways to have to travel to pick them up. They'd rather have them close here at home. And it's just time, and we've got this window of opportunity to, right now, Bentonville has said that they won't build here because we don't have the land. Well, with this Burksdale land, we do now have it. It won't cost us anything, and this won't involve the city a whole lot, but we'd just like to get this going, and let's really do something for our young people and attract young people to come to Bella Vista. And thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker is Jean Grossclay.
Gross close.
Grossclay.
Gross close.
Okay. Sorry, Jean Grossclose.
He's a lawyer, he didn't write it right very clearly.
My name's Gene Grosclose. I represent Cooper Homes. I'm here to speak in support of items C and D, zoning, acceptance and confirmation of easements this evening. We think this parcel is ideal for rezoning from R1 to R2. It's directly adjacent to a church, across the street from another church. It's heavily wooded at this point. We can maintain screening boundaries all around the property, and we think it's really an ideal candidate for rezoning and wouldn't have an adverse impact on the character of the community as a whole. And I would just ask that you support this issue tonight, and would also request that you waive the first and second readings of this ordinance and make this third and final reading. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker is Ellie Wood.
Just pull it down? Just pull it down. Okay. My name is Ellie Wood from 29 Kenilworth Drive, across from, well, you know where Kenilworth Drive is. What I'm concerned about is the traffic on Kingsland. It's so fast at times, you see cars and trucks go past. When we're trying to make a left-hand turn onto Kingsland from Kenilworth, the traffic really races through there. So my concern is having signs put up there to slow the traffic in that area, especially if there's going to be a lot of bikers there. And my next question is about how does this work as far as renting these units? Will it go through vacation rentals, or who's going to take care of this part? The people that are on Kenilworth are concerned about alcohol problems and drug problems for people that are going to rent. So that's our concern with that. So, thank you.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes of the last meeting, which was April 24. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes as written.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll.
Oh, it's roll call.
Okay, roll call vote.
Okay, Alderman Anderson,
Abstain, was not here.
Alderman Flynn,
Yes.
Alderman Lloyd,
Yes.
Alderman Fowler,
Yes.
Alderman Wozniak,
Yes.
Alderman Barr,
Yes.
carried, 5, 1 abstention.
Okay. The next thing on the agenda is to go over the financials as of March 31.
Go ahead.
I think they'll be a little bit hard to read, but they're posted up there, and I'd like you to know there is some copies on the desk there in the back if people would like to get a copy and study the detail. I'm going to focus on the fourth and fifth column, which is year-to-date actual versus budget. So that's January 1 through March 31, which is effectively the first quarter. We had an actual revenues in the general fund of $3.3 million, and the budget was for $3,350,000, so it's $48,000 shy. On total expenditures, we had $3.2 million, and the budget was for $3.5 million, so that was $281,000 better than expected. So in the general fund, as of March 31, we were $233,000 better than expected. On the street fund, through March 31, we had actual revenues of $498,000, and the budget was for $543,000, so there's a little bit of a shortfall there. Expenses were $715,000, and the budget was $786,000, so we were $70,000 to the good. So the street fund budget is ahead through March 31 by $24,000. Okay, now the next page has to do with our reserve or surplus. As of March 31, 2016, it was $7.1 million. And as of March 31, 2017, it's $6.4 million. So it's gone down a bit. It's gone down by 700 or so thousand. It was mainly due to some substantial expenditures in 2016. And our budget shows that we perhaps have an opportunity to increase that surplus back up during the remainder of the year if we manage our expenditures properly. So we feel good about our financial position at this time. Next, I'd like to ask for a motion to suspend the rules and read all ordinances and resolutions by title only.
So moved. Second.
Roll call vote.
Alderman Wozniak.
Yes.
Alderman Fowler.
Yes.
Alderman Lloyd.
Yes.
Alderman Flynn.
Yes.
Alderman Barr.
Yes.
Alderman Anderson.
Yes.
Carried.
Okay, the first order of business is ordinance number 2017. This is on third reading, amending the Bella Vista Code of Ordinances to add a section 16-30 of Article 3, temporary portable storage containers of Chapter 16 licenses, taxation, and miscellaneous business regulations to regulate and require permitting of temporary portable storage containers and for other purposes. Is there any discussion?
This is the third and final reading.
This is the third and final reading. Yes, Frank?
Recommend approval of the ordinance as presented.
Is that, Alderman, is that a motion?
That's a motion, that's what I said, move.
Okay.
No?
You said you recommend approval. Do you move approval of the ordinance?
Yes.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Okay. Alderman Lloyd.
Yes.
Alderman Flynn.
Yes.
Alderman Wozniak.
Yes.
Alderman Anderson.
Yes.
Alderman Fowler.
Yes.
Alderman Barr.
Yes.
Carried, 6-0.
The next item is ordinance number,
You don't have to read that.
oh, okay. Repealing section 103-49H of the municipal code, regulating guard opening limitations and for other purposes.
It's the first reading.
And this is the first reading.
Well, you can, does anybody desire?
Any
to say-
questions or discussion?
If not, let's go to second reading next month and move on to the next one.
Okay, this will go to second reading next month. Next ordinance is an ordinance amending the City of Bella Vista zoning ordinance and map by rezoning parcel 16-27141-000 from R1 to R2 and for other purposes.
This is the first reading.
This is the first reading, and I note the staff request move to third and final reading. Is there any discussion?
Well, there's no discussion, maybe just some comments on my part. Just want you to know, I've been out to this property a minimum of 4 times now, because, you know, I do take this very seriously, and I know there are concerns in the community, particularly the residents that live around that area. I did attend the planning session whenever the Planning Commission had the conversation, and I heard citizens' comments at that time. And I know, of course, Linda was there also, we were both there. So I think it's important to note, and Jason, if I say something is not correct, I appreciate being corrected, but in a rezoning request, there are certain, I'm going to call them rules, that we have to think about. But it is not about what potentially may be built there. It's more about whether we think that there's a certain impact, like an impact on traffic, impact on noise, decreased value of adjoining lands, higher potential for criminal activity, you know, are sewage services sufficient, but different considerations like that. The biggest difference between an R1 and an R2 zone is, in this particular case, you're allowed 3 single residential properties per acre, I believe. Under the R2, you're allowed 6, which would take, what does it count? I guess head count would be 6, right?
There's 2 acres on the subject parcel, so any particular zoning density would be multiplied by 2.
Right. So I believe, you know, the density, you know, raises, I guess, exponentially by 2, but still, in my opinion, that's still pretty minimal. I would just say, in going through all the process, I know that our community development staff recommended approval. The Planning Commission recommended approval. In some regards, it might be argued that it's actually a little bit more efficient use of land, you know, if it would go from an R2 to an R1.
R1 to 2.
I'm sorry, R1 to R2. The largest, I mean, I guess, so it could either be single-family residential properties, or it could be duplexes, but no apartments. So I want that to be understood also. So anyway, I just wanted to, you know, just to be sure that everyone knew that it didn't have, the rezoning doesn't have anything to do with what potentially may be built there in the future. It's just usage is what it is. So just wanted to make sure that everybody understood that.
Well, thank you. That's a good point. I noticed that the staff recommended it, but also that the, and it's up to us, but the Planning Commission did vote 6-0 in favor of the change.
Yeah, I also did attend the Planning Commission meeting, and I think we all take any rezoning very seriously, and I listened very carefully to the neighbors, and I understand the traffic and the speed is a concern, but I understand that there was concern about apartments, and I think Chris Sunnison very clearly pointed out that apartments are not allowed in an R2 zone, and I think that's important. I think we have a parcel that has access to public sewer, and it is adjacent to 2 churches, so it's not like it's stuck out in the middle of an R1 zone, and I think highest and best use of this property in R2 zone is perfectly appropriate and something that the city needs more of.
Frank?
Recommend suspension of the rules and move to final 3rd reading.
Second.
That's a motion.
That's a motion. Recommend? That doesn't,
No, you're recommending. You're saying it's a good idea. Do you move suspension of the
I
rules?
move.
Okay.
Okay. All right, we'll do a roll call vote. Alderman Fowler,
Yes?
Alderman Anderson,
yes.
Alderman Barr,
Yes.
Alderman Lloyd,
Yes.
Alderman Flynn,
Yes.
Alderman Wozniak.
Nope.
Okay, carried 5-1.
So go ahead and read the title one more time.
Yes, I'll read the title again for 3rd and final reading. An ordinance amending the City of Bella Vista's zoning ordinance and map by rezoning parcel 16 27-141-000 from R1 to R2 and for other purposes. Next item on the agenda?
You gotta vote now. You need to have
Sorry,
it on
that's
third
right.
reading now,
Yep.
so then further debate, and then if somebody wants to offer a motion to approve, that would be in order.
I'd move that we approve this ordinance.
Second.
It asks if there's any further discussion.
Any further discussion?
Now call for roll.
Okay.
Hang on, Mr. Wozniak.
Jim?
I'm not necessarily against this, I just didn't want to speed it up. I wanted to give some of the public another chance to speak one way or the other.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we'll have a roll call vote. Alderman Lloyd,
Yes.
Alderman Flynn,
Yes.
Alderman Wozniak,
Yes?
Alderman Anderson,
Yes.
Alderman Fowler,
Yes.
Alderman Barr,
Yes.
carries 6-0.
Now move to, now you go on.
Okay, now go
Now
next
you go
one.
to the next.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is accepting and confirming easements dedicated to the public on parcel 16-27141-000 located at the southeast corner of Kingsland Road and Kenilworth Drive and for other purposes. And the staff requests move to third and final reading on this ordinance as well.
I move we go to third and final reading. Suspend the rules and go to third and final reading.
Second.
Okay. All right, the vote,
Questions on the motion to suspend the rules?
Yeah, vote on the motion to suspend the rules and go to third reading.
Alderman Wozniak,
Yes?
Alderman Anderson,
Yes.
Alderman Fowler,
Yes.
Alderman Barr,
Yes.
Alderman Flynn,
Yes.
Alderman Lloyd,
Yes.
carries 6-0.
Okay, I'll read the title again. Accepting and confirming easements dedicated to the public on parcel 16-27141-000 located at the southeast corner of Kingsland Road and Kenilworth Drive and for other purposes. Any discussion or?
No.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay,
Any further discussion? Okay, roll call vote.
all right. Alderman Flynn,
Yes.
Alderman Wozniak,
Yes?
Alderman Barr,
Yes.
Alderman Fowler,
Yes.
Alderman Anderson,
Yes.
Alderman Lloyd,
Yes.
carries 6-0.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is accepting and confirming easements dedicated to the public on parcel 16-40062-000 on Huskins Lane and for other purposes. The staff requests move to third and final reading. Jennifer, could you honor us with an explanation?
This is a convoluted problem we're trying to help solve. Two lots adjoining this on 16-40063 and 40064, both originally had septic systems that were on their own lot. Those both failed in the 1990s and were replacement septic leach fields were supposedly knowingly by Cooper allowed to be placed together on this single lot. The current owner of 2 Huskins Circle has asked that he be able to purchase his portion of this lot so that he can control where his septic field is at. And in order to do that, it creates a kind of unusual situation in that the only way to do it with and meet POA covenants and restrictions which don't allow the creation or the destruction of lots is to do a property line adjustment which results in a non-conforming lot that the Board of Zoning Adjustments has already approved. So what you're looking at tonight is the dedication of new easements only on the new property line that would separate the two septic fields. The existing septic field for 4 Huskins Circle would be incorporated into what is currently Lot 16. All the easements that are existing would remain, only new easements separating the 2 lots would be created and are under consideration of this particular action.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Further discussion?
You know, no discussion, but I went out to Mr. Inser's property and we walked around and trying to figure out what you guys did, and it was pretty interesting. It was educational for me, but it was a very creative solution you came up with too. So I'd just like to say that Mr. Inser was really very complimentary of our city staff and what you did to work with him and get this thing done, and he'll really be happy when it's over with. So, thank you.
Okay, I'd entertain a motion to suspend the rules and move to third and final reading.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote on the motion to suspend the rules.
All right. Alderman Flynn.
Yes.
Alderman Wozniak.
Yes.
Alderman Anderson.
Yes.
Alderman Lloyd.
Yes.
Alderman Fowler.
Yes.
Alderman Barr.
Yes.
Carried 6-0.
Okay. Let me read the title one more time. Accepting and confirming easements dedicated to the public on parcel 16-40062-000 on Huskins Lane and for other purposes. Can I have a motion to?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, roll call vote on the motion to approve.
Okay. Alderman Lloyd.
Yes.
Alderman Flynn.
Yes.
Alderman Anderson.
Yes.
Alderman Wozniak.
Yes.
Alderman Barr.
Yes.
Alderman Fowler.
Yes.
Carried 6-0.
The next matter is accepting and confirming easements and rights-of-way dedicated to the public in McNelly Estates, parcels 18-8033-001, 18-08033-000, and 18-08016-000 on East McNelly Road in the city's planning area and for other purposes. Jennifer, would you like to comment on this also?
This is 3 parcels in the county, in the planning area. They are converting from 3 parcels to 4. And so what you're looking at are easements along the new interior parcel lines, as well as right-of-way dedication for East McNelly Road that would be required under our subdivision code.
Okay, thank you. I should mention the staff was also looking for, has a request to move the third and final reading on this as well.
I'll make a motion that we suspend the rules and move to third and final reading.
Second.
Roll call vote on the motion to suspend the rules.
All right. Alderman Barr.
Yes.
Alderman Fowler.
Yes.
Alderman Anderson.
Yes.
Alderman Wozniak.
Yes.
Alderman Flynn.
Yes.
Alderman Lloyd.
Yes.
Carried 6-0.
Okay, if there's no further discussion, we could have a motion to, oh, I'll need to read it again, right. Accepting and confirming easements and rights-of-way dedicated to the public in McNelly Estates, parcels 18-08033-001, 18-08033-000, and 18-08016-000 on East McNelly Road in the city's planning area and for other purposes. If there's no discussion, we could have a motion to pass.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote.
All righty. Alderman Fowler.
Yes.
Alderman Barr.
Yes.
Alderman Lloyd.
Yes.
Alderman Flynn.
Yes.
Alderman Wozniak.
Yes.
Alderman Anderson.
Yes.
Carried 6-0.
The next matter is an ordinance amending the Bella Vista Code of Ordinances to add a section 28-4 of Article 1 in General of Chapter 28 Utilities to require newly erected outdoor lighting fixtures elevated at higher than 8 feet above ground to be shielded. This is the first reading. Linda, did you want to make any comment on this?
Sure, I brought this ordinance forward as a light pollution ordinance. I've had a number of people speak with me and have encountered it myself where people put mostly dusk to dawn lights on utility poles that obscure people's ability to see the stars, and also require people to put blackout shades because it lights up their whole living room, bedroom, whatever, tilt from these lights. And I'd like to propose an ordinance that these be shielded so they do not cause light pollution onto neighboring properties.
Linda, I take it from the wording of the ordinance that if this was successful, it would apply to any new lights that were put up, but not to pre-existing.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
And this only doesn't apply to lights that have switches, normal switches. It's things that are on timers or automated, such as dusk to dawn lights.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Currently, is there a permit required to put these lights up?
No, not to my knowledge.
Okay. I don't know where everybody else is on this. I just know it's a first reading, and I would prefer to I'd like to go at least through another reading and have a chance to research this one. I don't know about putting an ordinance, with all due respect, in play like this. I don't know how we would enforce it. I think it would be difficult, because would people with lighting fixtures 8 feet and above already be like grandfathered in?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I hear you, and I understand why you're proposing it. I just question how effective we could be in managing it.
This ordinance typically would be applied in a similar fashion as a dark sky ordinance, which is a full cutoff lighting fixture, typically with commercial development, if you did apartments, those types of things, where you'd require full cutoff, so there was no light that left the property that the light fixture was on. There's numerous cities that actually have this ordinance, and so it's very common.
Do you say, does it apply to residential also on a lot of them?
No, it doesn't. It's more in the commercial aspect.
And I think to answer Doug's question is, if your neighbor decided to put a dusk to dawn light up on their telephone pole that completely lit your entire property up tilt, you could then complain and the city would have it removed because it did not comply with the ordinance. Without an ordinance, your neighbor can do whatever they want that adversely affects your property.
Let me just, as the lawyer, let me add something, since I wrote it, to make sure you all understand this too. It makes it illegal to have it or to erect it or to cause it to be erected. So it would be a violation if the electrician installed one that was not shielded, if it met the qualifications, as much as it would be to have it. So the biggest probably enforcement tool is going to be getting a word out to Carroll Electric, or to, I guess maybe private electricians may put them up too, that it would be a violation for them to erect such a thing if it did not meet the qualifications. That's another enforcement tool on this.
Do we require a permit to install fixtures such as that?
Are you asking me?
I was just asking
No,
Chris.
Yes.
Just so the public has the benefit of my response, we currently do not permit any light fixtures within the city of Bella Vista under any ordinances that I'm aware of.
Thank you, Chris. Any more discussion, or, Frank?
I guess I'm not sure I understand the dusk to dawn thing. Anybody that wants to beat this and wants to light up their entire yard, all they have to do is put a switch on it. That's not a really tough thing to do. So you're telling me that if I, in my neighborhood, want a light 15 feet high out at my mailbox, so that I can see getting out there in the morning to get my mail and or my paper, I can do that as long as I switch it. Is that what I understand this ordinance will allow me to do?
You asking me that?
Whoever wrote it or
The
whatever it said.
definition, if you look at the proposal, it defines, first of all, here's the operative language. It says outdoor lighting fixtures erected after the effective date of this section, which are elevated at higher than 8 feet above ground, shall be shielded so as to prevent light pollution onto any areas outside the boundary of the property on which the fixture is erected. Then it defines specifically what outdoor lighting fixture means. Outdoor lighting fixture means an automatically controlled, outdoor, artificial illuminating device, whether permanent or portable, used for illumination or advertisement, including searchlights, spotlights, and floodlights, whether for architectural lighting, parking lot lighting, landscape lighting, or street lighting. But it does require automatically controlled as an element to meet the definition of an outdoor lighting fixture that is regulated by this.
That makes little sense to me if we're gonna try to regulate it. The other thing that makes little sense is any street light is going to be on somebody else's property. The street light by definition is not on the person's property.
Doesn't, I mean, it's not, doesn't have to be a street light. It says
I
any
understand
type
that,
of
But a
light.
lot of people were talking about street lights and putting up street lights.
This
If
doesn't,
that's what we're allowing, do we allow people to do that?
street
If
lights,
they don't put it up on their own property?
street lights are already required to be shielded by state law. So no public funds can be used to erect public street lights that are not shielded. That is the law now, and that has been the law for about 12 years.
But the shielding
So-
from the state law is not to keep it off other people's property. It doesn't have
It has
to be
nothing to-
shielded that bad.
It just has to be shielded, and the definition of shielded in state law is the same as what you have here in your proposal. Shielded means a fixture that is covered in a manner that light rays emitted from the fixture, either directly from the lamp or indirectly from the fixture, are projected below a horizontal plane, running through the lowest point of the fixture where light is emitted. That's a very technical way of saying when you look at a light fixture, say it's a light fixture where the bulb is down and the glass is below it, that's unshielded. If it's one of those lights where it comes out, it's more of a flat look to it, and the bulb is up in it, you don't see the bulb, and the light shines down, and from the side you just see fixture, you don't see bulb, then that would fit the definition of shielded. And that is requiring that to now be for private property if it is above 8 feet and automatically controlled.
I think the wording needs some help if we really are trying to shield other people's property, which is, I think, Linda's idea. I don't think this does it.
I'll write it however, the aldermen make the law, I just write what they want.
Well, perhaps it's something, it's only first reading, perhaps we should give it some more thought. I think your point is, the loophole for the switch is too big a loophole, because you could have a switch and just leave it on all the
The switch is one big
time.
loophole, but the
Yeah.
shielding is also a loophole. Shielding, as the lawyer defines it, and as the state defines it, mean that from the side, when you're looking straight at the thing, you can't see the bulb. But the shielding thing inside can be big, wide, and as big around as you want it to be, and it can project light out from the reflection off of that as far out as you want to go. And I can take you to a street light in my street that's about 2.5 houses away from me that lights up my entire front yard. I believe that's what Linda doesn't want to happen.
Right, and if you look at subsection B, the outdoor lighting fixture erected after the effective date that's over 8 feet ground shall be shielded as to prevent light pollution onto areas outside the boundary of the property on which the fixture is erected. So it has to be shielded, and the light cannot be so big that it would be directing light onto someone else's property.
And then the loophole to that is if I put it up on a electric pole and I can have the electric company do that for me, they will put up a shielded light that meets the state code. It's not on anybody's property because
It's on someone's property.
It's on what?
It's on someo's property.
It's
a lot
on the,
of them are on
it's,
common
no,
property.
it's on, it's on
That's
the
someone's
street.
property.
It's the street. I don't think this covers
This
what
is
it
not my
Linda's trying to
proposal.
do.
I just wrote
understand
it.
that. I understand that. All I'm trying to point out is I don't think this covers Linda's problem.
Well, Linda thought it did.
Good luck, Linda.
Well, as I said, it's only first reading. We can keep working on this if people have good ideas how to improve it.
7 feet 9 inches. Go for it.
So why don't we move on to the next item, which is resolution approving the law enforcement mutual aid agreement between the City of Bella Vista Police Department and the City of Siloam Springs Police Department. And I believe this is a mutual aid agreement. And Jason, I thought you mentioned some legal reasons why these are good things to have.
These are typical to have. Is the chief here? Well, the chief's not here.
Tim's here, he can handle it.
Tim's here.
Tim, you want to talk about mutual aid agreements and why they're useful? I get dragged into everything.
Mutual aid agreements are needed because the empowerment that I've given is in the municipal jurisdictions of our city limits. So when we have incidents that occur in other cities, that city can request a mutual aid agreement. So let's just say we had a major incident here in Bella Vista. We would like for those officers to be able to come up here and assist us in being able to give legal authority to do so. So we would request that. So in that mutual aid agreement, that could happen. And with the Siloam Springs, maybe it also to talk about why, you know, we're not close to Siloam Springs. We've enabled a lot of different things that we're doing as far as countywide, like we have a CART program, so if we have a missing child happen or something, there's a whole team of people that get called upon to have that quick response for that. So Siloam Springs is someone we partner with.
Okay, thank you, Tim. I think that's pretty clear. Could I have a motion to pass?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Okay. All right. Alderman Lloyd,
Yes.
Alderman Flynn,
Yes.
Alderman Wozniak,
Yes.
Alderman Anderson,
Yes.
Alderman Fowler,
Yes.
Alderman Barr.
Yes.
Carried, 6-0.
Thank you. Next resolution is creating a property nuisance and abatement reserve fund, defining the uses therefore and for other purposes. Chris, did you want to say a couple words about this?
Briefly, this is creating a piggy bank for cleaning up properties across the city. Every year we spend a bit of money on maintaining properties through the summer and in some instances in the wintertime to board those things up or secure the property. At the end of the season, if you will, in October, we typically request that the city council certify those amounts that have been unpaid by property owners to the county tax collector. Those funds usually come back to us. They kind of trickle in as people pay their taxes. The effect of this resolution would be to take those funds that we're currently accounting for as miscellaneous income, set it aside for times when we have a big disaster or a lot of demolitions or whatever circumstance that mayor and council see fit.
I had a question, Chris. Do you have any feel for how much money you usually get from the county in a year for this sort of thing?
I have a better feel for how much we actually expend each year. In the last several years, property maintenance itself has been around a $7,000 to $8,000 figure. Sometimes that number goes up if we have demolitions. We have historically spent about $10,000 per demolition on properties, and we try to as much as possible.
Okay, thank you. Frank?
I guess I'm one of those that thinks a better control over that type of money is through the budget process versus slush fund process or whatever you want to call this particular fund. There's no way to know how much it will build up to. I'm not 100% sure, and I have to apologize for not being at the work session if it was discussed there. I'm not sure how the approval or what approval process goes through for spending money out of that fund. I heard Chris mention several things in addition to just nuisance fixes. who decides what that money gets spent for? I really think it'd be better through the budget process. I like the way of it coming in as miscellaneous income and going out through the budget.
I can answer that. All money has to be appropriated through the budget. The council authorizes every penny that gets spent. This is going to be put into a space where it's going to be, that revenue can only be, you're setting it aside for this purpose to then in turn budget it, okay?
That's not what I heard.
Is that
the
not what you're?
discussion say.
You can't, well, you can't just set it aside in a fund and just start spending out of it. You have to, it has to be in the budget every year. Every dollar that's spent's in the budget.
I see really no purpose of putting it in there then.
We have
It's
some,
income.
we have some funds like that now, and you could say the same thing.
Probably.
I mean, you're just saying this money's specially appropriated already, right, as it comes in? No?
Every year in my budget, my departmental budget, we budget for a certain amount to expend on demolitions and cutting grass and structurally securing a property, environmental remediation, though we've never actually spent funds on that. Property acquisition is another specifically listed item that these funds could be used for. There may come a time where we need some extraordinary amount of money that would have to be specially appropriated through the city council if a bill that we're looking at proceeding with exceeds that budgeted amount. As Section 3 of the ordinance or resolution indicates, with approval from the mayor as well as appropriate approvals through the council.
So correct me if I'm wrong, this becomes a line item budget, and the funds are used specifically for those items listed by approval through the city council.
It's a special piggy bank that these monies are gonna be put into. And the council's saying, by passing this resolution, we're gonna, in the future, spend money just for these purposes out of that special piggy bank we're creating. At any point in time, this council has the right to repeal this ordinance, take that money, put it right back in the general fund, and do away with the special fund, and spend it however you want to. It's more of a statement of intent, and a statement to help you keep track of what you've kind of been collecting, so you might have a little extra to set aside if you have a bigger expense in the future and not have to take it out of other funding that you may have. I think that's what happens.
Yes,
It still
Linda?
comes out of the same budget, comes out of the same pocket of money. Why try to separate it and show it as a separate amount?
Linda?
That was, I just wanted to ask Alderman Anderson, do you just feel it's a redundant exercise and
Yeah,
could be handled more
I think it's
easily?
handled just fine now. It comes in as miscellaneous income and it shows up in the budget as expenditure. What's the difference if we show it in a separate account?
Well, it strikes me as an attempt to be fiscally conservative and responsible. And I guess the question is the balance between trying to be fiscally conservative and responsible and the extra hassle for the accounting people, finance people, keeping track of these little funds. And I don't have any input from them what they think about that.
You'll have to explain why that's fiscally conservative.
Well, I think he's thinking he gets some money in from the county and then he puts it, isolates it, puts it aside, and then has it when you do have expenditures come up, you have it sitting there. Instead of just, wash it in.
When you have expenditures coming up, you have it in the budget. He said he puts it in the budget at the beginning of the year, what he's gonna spend.
Yeah,
It's in the budget already.
Yeah, I understand. He makes a budget estimating what
That's the
he
fiscal
thinks it's gonna
conservative
cost.
part. He keeps
Yeah.
it low, hopefully, because he doesn't think he's gonna spend too much. So I don't understand your fiscal conservative putting it in a separate account, but fine, whatever. Either way works.
But it's kind of like a rainy day fund in a way, right? to go against specific things rather than have to take it out of the miscellaneous line of the budget and have
It's
to
not a
approve it that way.
miscellaneous line of the budget. It's a specific item in the budget.
Well, his would be, but how, what, would-
Not the
if-
fund, it's a,
if you
it's
need,
a
if you needed
specific item
money,
in the budget already.
Okay, yeah, one person at a time.
if you needed money to pay for, I don't know, mowing of yards, like you go over whatever money that you have budgeted, or demolition, or whatever it may be, you would source this money that you set aside in case you ran over. But if you ran over, then you would have to go back to the city budget, and you'd have to pull that money out of a miscellaneous. I apologize, you know, like, I'm not as familiar with the budget and different things like, as you are, Frank. So I'm not really sure how that works. Like, if he would need the money, if he goes over budget for the different things that he mentioned, then the process for sourcing that money, we would just have to, approve a change in the budget in order to cover his needs? Is that what we would do?
I would think you'd have to approve it if he goes over budget, yes. And I would think that his money's gonna be coming out of that account through his budget at the beginning, not only when he gets to the end of the year.
I think our normal budget process is for those things that we anticipate. I can count on one hand how many demolitions that we have active, and with regard to notifications, property owners, they're about to fall down. I can also count on probably both hands and both feet how many more that we need to demolish, just because of their structural instability. Over time, that gets expensive, and so we have had a color on our, that specific line item in the budget, simply because there were other more pressing needs. Through this abatement process, through this collection process, the city makes about 7% on these collections. Granted, a lot do not get paid because of whatever reasons that the property owners are encountering. So over time, yeah, it built up. But what happens with that extraordinary event? What happens if, for example, there's a natural disaster and there is a need to clear, demolish, get these properties up and rolling? It is those more extraordinary, unprepared for, planned for expenses that this fund is designed to take.
So you're not gonna spend the money out of this fund unless something extraordinary occurs. Is that what I'm hearing?
There's got to be a good reason for spending this money. And it would have to be appropriated through the council, just like any other expenditure.
I see no difference in taking it out of that particular fund versus taking it out of the general budget. I mean, the loss that you're talking about and the kind of expenditures you're talking about in this particular area are, in an emergency or a natural disaster, are not near as great as the street department, for instance, or any of these other things we're talking about, and we don't have funds for those. So why worry about a small place like this and have a special fund that somebody's got to account for and track and play with versus the street department? Or where we really will have a problem if they tear the fire stations down when the flood comes up that high, or those kind of things. So why worry about this little piece? It makes little sense to me to do it. And I have no concept as to why that would be fiscally conservative. I mean, I'm gonna spend the money, if I have it, irregardless, to fix whatever it is that I can fix. Anything that I can't fix, we'll suffer through with. And that's gonna happen in any catastrophe, in any city in the country. That's my comments about it. Just makes a little sense to do it.
Okay, why don't we go ahead with either a motion to pass this or a motion to table, whatever people are in the mood for.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Okay. All right. Alderman Barr,
Yes.
Alderman Fowler,
Yes.
Alderman Anderson,
No,
Alderman Wozniak,
Nope.
Alderman Flynn,
Yes.
Alderman Lloyd?
Yes.
Carried, 4-2.
Next resolution is creating a Trails Maintenance and Improvement Reserve account and for other purposes. Did you want to say a couple words, Chris? Or I'd like you to say a couple words. Let me rephrase that.
Okay. As it's stated in the staff report, so I'm hoping that you guys are seeing some of the words I'm putting together. The city has placed into motion intellectual property for the back 40 trail maintenance, trail system. We have acquired the rights to license that. We have begun negotiating and entering into agreements by which that logo generates revenue. The people that we are, our partners, that we are licensing this logo to, and have expressed a concern that the profits generated from licensing of the logo go back into trails maintenance. Many on the council have indicated that trails are expensive to maintain, and particularly after the flooding events as well as the high winds that we have experienced in the last month, I wholeheartedly concur. So, the purpose of this particular resolution is to take those designated funds from those licensing agreements with the logo, place them into a trails maintenance fund, so that when our expenditures for trails maintenance exceed what has been budgeted, we have a source to pay for those high expenditures. I would also indicate to you that trails projects are expensive. $250,000 for a parking lot, $2 million for a restroom. These are things that we need to add over time to our program for our trail system, but we do not have funds because we have other priorities. Now, the idea here is that money invested in the trails is going back into that maintenance and the expansion of our trail system, to echo some of the comments that you heard earlier from the public.
Thank you for that.
I need to say one more thing. The licensing agreement, at least one, I think there's only one that I'm thinking of, with the cycling shop here in Bella Vista requires that those proceeds, the whole process of that was that the proceeds would then in turn go to the trails. And so this particular resolution gives a way to make sure those dollars go into that fund and are used for that purpose as part of the agreement that the city entered into on the logo.
Jim?
So does that money get used first, or does it get used after the city runs out?
I would say it's after. Again, it is a reserve fund. We try to work within the means that we get.
Well, the word doesn't mean a thing. I mean, if you're putting it in a fund and you're calling it a reserve fund, but it's to fix and/or whatever. So who gets used first, the money that comes in from there, or the city's money?
It's the budget.
Because one of those things we were told, this trail's gonna be self-supporting at least for a little while, and all of a sudden, we turn around and keeps going up, and up, and up, and up. And we don't have up, and up, and up, and up, regardless of what we do with it. I would think that money would come out of there first before it come out of the city. Because is POA kicking anything in? Is Cooper kicking anything in? Is the foundation kicking anything in after they build it? Or is it all gonna fall back to us?
Our licensing agreement with the Property Owners Association indicates that all maintenance is split 50-50, and there's a base level amount that's budgeted, a total amount of $40,000 split between the two organizations. So $20,000 comes out of the city budget in order to support trails maintenance. That's been a good partnership.
It's only been a year. You don't know what it's gonna cost you next year, the year after.
Well, and to your point, trails expenditures go up and up and up. This is an opportunity to offset that.
it's a good idea, don't get me wrong, and I'll vote for it, but just which one gets used first, ours or that?
You can determine that.
I understand that, sir.
I make a motion that we approve this item.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Okay. Alderman Barr.
Yes.
Alderman Fowler.
Yes.
Alderman Anderson.
Yes.
Alderman Wozniak.
Yes.
Alderman Flynn.
Yes.
Alderman Lloyd.
Yes.
Carried, 6-0.
The next item is a resolution amending the 2017 city budget to authorize one additional part-time position for information technology. I don't believe there's anyone here from the IT department, but there was some discussion of this at the work session, and I believe they're having a part-time employee, and a lot of this was being done by outside contractors prior to.
And he did say something about the outside contracting money would cover this person. So there wouldn't be any additional, at least this first year.
Right, and I know John has his hands full. You know, he did a presentation to the city council on all the things that he's trying to get done. And, of course, you know, then we have this situation come up, you know, international, I mean, with holding all these different, you know, companies, businesses, countries, even hostage. And I think John had to double down on his time to jump on that and make sure we're covered. But I do know he has his hands full, so I think it's a good idea. I make a motion to approve.
So moved. Or second.
Roll call vote.
Okay. Alderman Lloyd.
Yes.
Alderman Flynn.
Yes.
Alderman Wozniak.
Yes.
Alderman Anderson.
Yep.
Alderman Fowler.
Yes.
Alderman Barr.
Yes.
Carried, 6-0.
The next item is a resolution amending the 2017 city budget to shift certain street department budget surpluses to administration and the police department. Carrie Elston, our finance director, isn't here today, but I discussed this with her, and she went over it with you a bit at the work session also. The amount being shifted from the street department is $156,000, and she found that the amortization on some of the loans wasn't being done properly. That created that amount, and it's being used. 88,000 of it is for existing salaries in the regular budget, and about 20,000 was for additional professional fees. I believe that was due to the 457 plan change. And then 49,000 was for various, or 46,900 was for various small equipment purchases by the police department, which were gone over a bit at the work session. So is there any further discussion on that? Can I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second. Roll call vote.
All right. Alderman Anderson.
Yes.
Alderman Wozniak.
Yes.
Alderman Barr.
Yes.
Alderman Fowler.
Yes.
Alderman Lloyd.
Yes.
Alderman Flynn.
Yes.
Carried, 6-0.
Next item on the agenda is resolution authorizing the mayor and city clerk to enter into contract with Cooper Communities, Inc. for the purchase of land on Trafalgar Road for usage as a future second Salton sand storage facility in the amount of $10,000 plus closing costs. If you'll recall, Mike Button discussed this, and they've been looking for some time for a east side location for a second sand and salt storage building. It was a bit of a challenge, and they were fortunate to find a piece of land that would be useful for this, which is near the old stump dump, but it's land that has a solid foundation, so it could be used for this purpose. Any questions about that or further discussion?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Do we know how much land is involved? I'm sorry again that I missed the.
It wasn't discussed there either.
I don't have that at my fingertips. Let's see here.
I don't know.
Can't you get it
Just-
donated?
It's over an acre in size, it says in the memo.
Over an acre?
Over an acre.
Okay. Ready for a vote?
Yes, roll call vote.
Okay, Alderman Lloyd,
Yes.
Alderman Flynn,
Yes.
Alderman Wozniak,
Yes.
Alderman Anderson,
Yes.
Alderman Fowler,
Yes.
Alderman Barr,
Yes.
carried 6-0.
The next resolution is authorizing the mayor and city clerk to enter into a contract with Deco Paving, Inc. in a minimum amount of $155,000, $65.20 per ton, for asphalt street resurfacing and other street department asphalt paving, and further authorizing the mayor and city clerk to enter in a contract with Vance Brothers, Inc. in a minimum amount of $252,000, per square yard in Prince for slurry street resurfacing. And this is for calendar year 2017. Mike Button was at the work session and went over this a bit with us. They had competitive bidding, and this was, there's a little bit of detail attached in your packet. This was the result of the competitive bidding, and really the last couple of years, the prices on all these things have been very good, lower than we thought they would be.
Yeah, and these are all in the budget.
Yeah.
Correct? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Which was approved at the end of the year. So I make a motion to approve.
Second. Roll call vote.
Okay. Alderman Barr,
Yes.
Alderman Anderson,
Yes.
Alderman Flynn,
Yes.
Alderman Lloyd,
Yes.
Alderman Wozniak,
Yes.
Alderman Fowler,
Yes.
carried 6-0.
Thank you. The next item is a resolution adding a part-time administrative assistant to the Community Development Services Department and for other purposes. And since I've had Chris up here so much, I'll try and explain this. That, as most of you know, this department has been very busy because there's been so much activity in Bella Vista and a lot of permitting going on, and this is for a part-time person to help them keep up with the burden of all the business they're doing this year. Any questions or discussion?
I don't have any questions, but I could say I've been over there a few times. I'm probably one of the more pesky council members for Chris so far this year, but I was in there just this morning, about 8:30, and by 9 o'clock, it was a steady stream. It literally was. Every time I've been in there, it's been like that. So his department is definitely busy, so.
Okay, can I have a motion to approve?
It's being covered in the budget? The budget takes care of it?
My department is currently running a payroll and benefits surplus due to not hiring a building inspector until May, 1st of May. And so, running out projections, we'll, even with the add of this person that you're under consideration, we'll still have a net positive. Well, we won't be spending as much as what has been budgeted.
Thank you.
Make a motion to approve.
Second. Roll call vote.
All right. Alderman Fowler,
Yes.
Alderman Lloyd,
Yes.
Alderman Flynn,
Yes.
Alderman Barr,
Yes.
Alderman Anderson,
Yes.
Alderman Wozniak,
Yes.
carried 6-0.
The next item is a resolution amending the 2017 city budget to recognize $1,000 in donation revenue from Bella Vista Lutheran Church to the fire department and authorizing expenditure. So this was a very generous charitable donation from the church to the fire department. And so we needed to amend the budget and authorize the expenditure of the funds as well.
Motion to approve.
Second. Roll call vote, please.
Okay. Alderman Barr,
Yes.
Alderman Fowler,
Yes.
Alderman Anderson,
Yes.
Alderman Wozniak,
Yes.
Alderman Flynn,
Yes.
Alderman Lloyd,
Yes.
carried 6-0.
Okay, meetings and announcements. The next city council work session will be June 19, 2017 at 5:30 PM in the City Hall Conference Room. The next regular meeting of the city council, Monday, June 26, 2017 at 6:30 PM at the Bella Vista American Legion Hall. Planning Commission work session will be Thursday, June 1, 2017 at 4:30 PM in the City Hall Conference Room. Planning Commission regular meeting will be June 12, 2017 at 6:30 PM in the City Hall Conference Room. And I'd like to add, there's a special council meeting on June 5, 4:30 PM at the City Hall Conference Room, and that has to do with issues regarding establishing the court, the new court in Bella Vista. So unless anyone has any other comments, is there a motion to adjourn? Don't need a motion, okay. Any more discussion? Okay. Thanks for all your efforts tonight. The meeting is adjourned.